So this is one of the most vulnerable shares that I have had up until this point, and it is scary and exciting to be able to identify this part, this aspect of myself and release it. And I'm so grateful to this full moon and this cycle for helping illuminate what it was that I couldn't see for a very long time and allow it to be released, because what is moving in to replace that is a very prominent part of myself that I can now embrace, and that level of self-love is rising and rising, and it's very exciting to witness it and experience it. The letting go process, it was difficult. I mean, it's not over yet, I will say that much, but it's definitely fully underway and excruciatingly difficult. Sometimes these things that we didn't know about ourselves, when we see them, man, oh man, it is a real like shock to the system to have to like let them go. Because for me, I know my ego and my identity was really built around this, and I had so many layers of protection that I refused to see it for so long. And I know many of you probably will laugh when you hear this, or you'll understand because you probably felt it and tried to tell me, but I just wasn't ready to hear. And so I finally got to the place where I was in some sort of energetic alignment with the person, a beautiful energy worker, who was able to see this about me and draw it out of me carefully and cautiously, and go through all that emotional baggage that had to be released in order for me to see it and see what my life is going to look like without it. And that's so cool. So yeah, the big thing for me is codependency. Whew. I mean, once you say it out loud, it really takes the power away. It's just like any emotion. When you give it a name, it puts it into a better perspective. But yeah, codependency, I know now I'm super vulnerable to it because of my human design. And this human design aspect of myself is also another key to self-love in a way that I haven't been able to grasp until just recently. So I'll say it over and over again. I am defined in my human design in my heart and in my throat. So these two centers are defined. And knowing that about myself, it means that all the other centers and chakras are open. They're open, they're empty. They should be empty. And knowing this about myself, I can embrace that and really, really learn to function within that and understand that's who I am on a fundamental physical level in this body, and love that about myself. Truly, truly love that about myself. And as I spend time to familiarize myself with what that means and what that feels like, then there's this openness that comes into me, because then these other centers are open and empty and able to receive if I allow them. This is where the codependency piece comes in, is that because they're so open, I am very in tune and receiving other people's energies. And so when another person comes in with a different human design, obviously, and their centers that are defined are different than mine, then I can easily tap into that energy, because I'm taking energy from other people. I'm not good at generating it from myself. I'm taking it from the environment and from other experiences and from people and feeling it. But the trick is to be able to feel it and acknowledge it and experience it, which is so exciting. But then also to be able to let it go and move on to the next one. And then your life becomes, or for me, my life becomes just this vibrant exchange of energies that are flowing in and out of me, and I'm experiencing them and I'm letting them go. But when I come across an energy that is really delicious and really beautiful that I want to, experience, And not having this knowledge about my human design, it's super easy for me to just hook into that energy and think that I need that energy to feel complete, when in fact I don't need complete. I'm already complete in my heart and in my throat, and everything else is supposed to be empty and clear and allowing. So as I'm hooked into these other energies from other people and experiences, that's where this codependency starts to hook in and confuse my experience, and I get muddled and I can't think clearly, and I think I need it. And so this happened to me for many years, being hooked into somebody else's energy because I thought that I needed it, and my ego built up an identity around that connection, around that codependency, and protected it and protected it and protected it to the point where I could not even see it myself. And I thought that it was something that was part of me. So now, as I release that and acknowledge it, I'm opening up that part of myself again. And I felt this energy hooked into my solar plexus. And over the past couple days, as I've done the work to release it and let it go, I have been encouraging myself to feel the emptiness of that part of me, to embrace that emptiness and to connect it to this spaciousness, the vast spaciousness of the universe. So there's all this space I'm opening up to within myself, and acknowledging this part of myself and embracing it has been so beautiful and so lovely. And as I get more and more familiar with it, it takes on a whole different sensation within me. And there is sort of this warmth that enters that emptiness. And then I'm also noticing how other experiences in my life are shifting in relation to my shift internally. And this is where I think it's really exciting, because other areas where I am or have been typically codependent, like relationships with my children, they are starting to shift as I open this up. And as I acknowledge that I don't have that energy from within in those centers, that I also don't need that energy. And so if I am interacting with someone and I feel their energy coming in a way that isn't loving or isn't understanding, then I can turn it away, and I can be like, no, that doesn't feel good for me. I feel it. I viscerally feel it. And I can change that conversation, or I can change that interaction, and I can guide. And this is so amazing to me as a projector, is being so in tune with how I'm interacting with the energy around me, is that now I'm able to guide it in a way that feels good to me. And it's also going to feel good to the people that I'm interacting with, whether they're conscious of it or not. It helps sort of ease the situation into, the best and most helpful possible outcome for all of us. And this is something that I'm really looking forward to practicing, having that awareness within myself. I know that I need to be showing up and expressing myself from my heart and from my throat. And so those are the two areas that I'm going to focus on in terms of being more visible and sharing that sort of information. And then the rest that's open, I'm going to practice keeping it open and just allowing those energies to come in and out and experience them. And I'm really excited about what experiences those are going to be, because I've had, for instance, my solar plexus so hooked into somebody else's energy that's been full, and I've closed myself off to so many experiences that I could have been having for so long, but yet I wasn't allowing them in because I was codependent on somebody else to fill that experience for me. And so I wasn't living my own life to the fullest potential that I'm capable of living. And that's what self-love really is to me, is accepting all these parts and aspects and energetic dynamics and on it goes to the fullest capacity that I'm capable of having, and living in my fullest potential as often and completely as I can.